Hello everybody, Andy here, and I want to talk to you today about the leaks, because who doesn't like leaks? Some people say where there's news there's views. I say when there's leaks there's peaks. Anyway, so before we get on to that, and obviously everybody else is going to talk about 40k and Sigmar, and I don't care about that stuff. I care about the skirmish, so I want to talk about Warcry, obviously. And so before we get to that though, I'll show you the rumours and then I'll take away just the skirmish stuff because that's interesting, or the interesting stuff really. Before we get to that, I just wanted to point you to this starter product guide behind me, which I've never seen before, but somebody in my Discord linked it, and I think this is what they give out to people, to like retailers that say, this is relevant, sorry, I'll get to it. They give this out to retailers to say, hey, you know, if someone's brand new, give them this. If they're medium, advanced, etc. Warcry and Kill Team are in the same thing. And that's, you know, who did this? You know, this is a joke, right? Anyway, whatever. Moving on. Whatever. I thought that was funny. That's literally all. So anyway, green text. So let's be super clear. All of this behind me has the reliability level of... I was about to say something that would trigger half my audience and the other half. There's no reason to believe anything here. There's no proof to it. There's nothing. This is a nothing post. But as you do, let's think about it. This is pure fan fiction, okay? And they've sprinkled in some things that are true, as far as we know, in the sense that they make sense for business, and we have them confirmed by things, by like people that were on the inside, and then everything else cannot obviously be corroborated in any way, shape or form. So I'm just using this as like a launching pad to talk about what they say is happening, because I will say, when it comes to the skirmish stuff, it kind of tracks with what I've seen for like Underworlds and Warcry, and it seems sensible. And the reason that's why I take this as pure fan fiction, because it seems sensible. And that's not always how GW works, let's be honest, right? Seems sensible, therefore probably not true. There's a whole bunch of stuff about all the systems. I'm going to ignore all of that and we'll get straight to the things that I find interesting. So, Underworlds. They say, it's going away. There's Wintermore, and then there's going to be one more box, which logically will come in 6 months' time. That's how they do this, generally. And then it's going away. He gave a reason as like, oh, it was meant to be a casual competitive thing, but it just didn't sell. And that was it. Oh, he also said, the cost of card is more than the cost of models in terrain in Warcry for GW, so they're just getting rid of it. Honestly, this tracks with pretty much everything that everybody knows, or guesses when it comes to sales, so I'm not surprised if that is true. It would make a lot of sense. A video that my patrons have seen, but I have yet to put on the channel. It was actually going to go up today, but news leaks, so I'll talk about those instead. Underworlds is the least played GW game from what we can see, and like at Adepticon, it got like, yeah, it was the least played GW game, which is interesting when it's pitched as a competitive game. Therefore, you would expect that it has a higher comparative turnout of tournament players. Cool. We'll talk about Warcry in a sec, because that's the actually interesting bit that I have things to say about. Just of note, the Old World and Epic, Legions Imperialis, both noted as underperforming. This doesn't ring true for me, because from what I've seen, it feels like everybody's into the Old World. Everything I'm seeing online, which in fairness, I suppose would generally skew to the older, therefore more money to throw away kind of gamers. So, you know, biases all over the place. It feels like everyone's talking about the Old World and everyone's happy with it, etc. Epic, I totally understand, is failing. That tracks for me. I don't see anybody talking about it at all. There you go. He also says, leaks are just PR. And that's... So, let me tell you my conspiracy theory about why I don't believe that. Because that's the thing that people say. They're like, oh yeah, these leaks that come out, they're pure PR, you know, the shaky cam thing. They feed it deliberately to Valrak and blah, blah, blah. I think it's not true. And the reason I think it's not true is because in reality, if there was someone whose job it was to do leaks, we would know. One of the people, you know, like Peachy, Ian, Louise, whatever, that used to work there would have just said, yeah, somebody was hired to do that. I don't think a secret as big as leaks are deliberately given to influencers or wherever they're given would stay silent and quiet for any length of time at all in this day and age. There you go. Cool. So let's talk about Warcry. Warcry is an interesting one. For those of you following me and the reg viewers, of late I have been kind of moving away a little bit from content for Kill Team, and I keep bemoaning the fact that if I want a sci-fi skirmish game, it's all over the place. I've got loads. I am awash with options. I am a flush. However, if I want a cool, good skirmish game for fantasy, I feel like there's not as much out there, which is a crazy thing to say. Anyway, the reason Warcry has always come across as a touch simple, which I don't think is a bad thing, to clarify. I think it has its space in the systems, and that's fine. However, as a capital G gamer, I want something a bit more than what Warcry provides, right? Cool. So, likewise, if you look at the amount of conversation online that goes into Warcry, both in, you know, Reddit's, Facebook's, Discord channels, and content creators on YouTube, it's not huge, right? Even the biggest Warcry channels don't get particularly good views for whatever content they do for Warcry. It's a very, very small system, even compared to the other small systems within GW. Cool. So, the rumour, the leak, the fanfic that they wrote, is they are going to redo Warcry. So it's going to be a totally new game, much like how they changed Kill Team 1st edition to Kill Team 2nd edition. And they're going to totally redo. So instead, like, new game, presumably name recognition. So you have the same name, but it's just going to be a whole new thing. And so it's going to be closer to Mordheim, Necromunda, and MESBG. Okay. And then randomly he says the starter is going to be Cities of Sigmar versus Skaven. Which, if you think about them wanting to bring it in line with Mordheim, then that makes total sense. I do agree. However, because again, I've put it up here, he literally says closer to Mordheim / Necromunda / Middle-earth strategy battle game. And the reason I've highlighted that is because that is an interesting idea, but also those are three completely different games, really. They really don't share much between those three games. In fact, I would go as far as to say that the only thing all three of those systems share is equipment. That's the wrong word. War gear? I don't know what they call it between all three of the systems. Basically, in Warcry currently, you have a lot of, you know, it's kind of Age of Sigmar skirmish in the sense, but with a totally different rule set, in the sense that you get a bunch of dudes. There are no name characters like in Kill Team, and you get to list build whatever you want. Everything has points costs, and if you want, let's say, Liberator with Spear, that will cost you X points. But if you want Liberator with Hammer, that will cost you a different amount of points. And they are different data cards, okay? So there's no limitations within Warcry, in like you can spam a million of them. There's no reason to have them as different war cards, data cards, except for the fact that that's how they chose to do the system. Fine, whatever. That was done presumably as a way to keep nice and clean visual language on the different data cards, instead of like in 40k, where you have, you know, a long list of different possible equipment they could be given. There you go. So, presumably, the only thing that Mordheim, Necromunda, and MESBG all share is you buy a generic unit, like, let's say, a Liberator, and then you can choose to give it whatever it wants to have. So you can say, my Liberator will have, out of this list of 20 different items, these 3 things, and each thing costs more gold points, or whatever, right? Credits, gold, or I can't remember what the MESBG word is. It's just like, it's not might, valor? I can't recall. Yeah, so there you go, that's it. Outside of that concept, Mordheim, Necromunda, and MESBG are all very different systems. So Mordheim is a full I go, you go. I do everything in phases. So I have my movement phase, I have my shooting phase, I have my melee phase. And then you get to do your movement, shooting, melee. Necromunda is alternating activations. So completely different. And MESBG is alternating phases. So I will move all of my stuff, then you move all of your stuff, then I'll shoot all of my stuff, and then you shoot all of your stuff, and then we simultaneously fight. So you can't even look at that. Also, MESBG, of course, does like an initial roll-off for the fight. So it's not really just going, and you only actually use your fight stat, and there's no like weapon skill, ballistic skill. It's a different thing. It's a very different thing in that regard. So it's just interesting. I realise that I've gone too far into fanfic green text, but I just want to kind of point out that, like, as we will see in the video that I'm doing where I talked about Underworlds not being a big seller, despite it should be, same for Warcry. It's not a huge game, you know? And there are several ways we can see this, both in tournament attendance, but you can, of course, argue that it's not a tournament game. You shouldn't see big tournaments of Warcry. It's not what it's there for. It's also it's a relatively simple game, which isn't a bad thing, again, but that inevitably doesn't really lend itself to tournaments. There are clearly broken builds, broken ways to play the game. I use the term broken lightly there. I don't play it enough to know if it's like legit, this is the one build or not, you know? And there you go. That's kind of my view of Warcry. Also, the final thing there is you can always buy it. It doesn't go out of stock. Now, I know that, look, we should not look at GW and be those guys that say, hey, your product, if it's not out of stock within 5 minutes before the pre-order goes live, that means you're underselling. That's not good. That's not how we should treat things. GW stock is supposed to be in stock for like a month, okay? Please, we need more stock for Kill Team. God. And all other pre-orders, from what I can tell, everything sells out, apart from Warcry and Underworlds. So they're kind of on a similar level, odd as that might sound. There you go, that's kind of it. So it seems like Warcry does need a shake-up, and if I'm honest, I would love Warcry to get a shake-up. The thing he specifically said in the leak, I don't want to say this because it means nothing. These are just random words he's picked out. They're going to make Warcry the kill team of Age of Sigmar. That doesn't mean anything. No, they're not. I do not think that the kill team rule set would work particularly well, like, for what they want Warcry to do. Obviously, they're changing what Warcry does, but it should be the other way around. Like, frankly, Warcry should just have a little upgrade, a little bit more list building, perhaps. Take out the line of sight from kill team, give it a little bit more crunch, and you're good to go. We need to have the fight system, like, basically, Warcry needs a proper fight system. That's it. It needs to be kind of like Kill Team, but with more of a fight system. Also, without the line of sight bollocks, because we don't need that in a game with fancy shooting, right? Just give us a proper crunchy fight system for Warcry. The rest can stay nice and loose. Oh, also stop. Actually, sorry, I'm remembering all of the systems in Warcry. They need to change quite a bit. They need to change quite a bit. Yeah. Stop with that weird deployment thing. We don't need the 3 different groups coming on randomly. That's stupid. But yeah, genuinely, if they made Warcry an actually interesting fight system, as opposed to just, oh, I rolled a 5, okay. Oh, but wait, I rolled a 6. Oh, now I win. It's like, whatever. Yeah. It's a very interesting, simple game, but I don't think it scales. I don't think it goes anywhere. I think if you gave that fight mechanic some real crunch to it, some real juice, some interest, a little bit of social deduction, a little bit of hidden information mechanic, you'd be onto a winner. I think people would latch onto that really well. And that's it. There you go. I'm done. I just thought this was, fun to talk about because I love the idea that GW is going to release a fantasy skirmish game that people actually like to play and is good. Not that I'm saying Warcry isn't. It's just not what I want. Okay, Warcry has a space, but let's pick a space that more people want to play. There you go. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know your thoughts. I personally am hyped for the idea of the just fantasizing what Warcry could become after they've taken away the lessons from the last 5 years and what they're going to do with another edition when they get to just scrap it, start again. Because ultimately, the designers that work on this stuff are very talented, but yeah. Let's let them, give them a brief and let them run with something. Let's not. I'm stopping because I'm going to get weird. Okay, bye everybody. Stay gangster. Stay hydrated.